Now in this video we will analyze a special kind of circuit which is called a Wheatstone bridge. Now in a Wheatstone bridge the capacitors are joined in a specific manner such as these two capacitors are in series and these two capacitors are in series, and together both the branches can be in parallel. But in a Wheatstone bridge there is another capacitor which is joined like this between these capacitors and these two nodes. Now because of these capacitors, these two capacitors and these two capacitors are no longer in series, and again because of this these two branches cannot be said to be in parallel connection. So such kind of arrangement is called a Wheatstone bridge. So we'll analyze this Wheatstone bridge. Let us say these are capacitors C1, C2, C3 and C4, and the middle capacitor is C5. Now if we connect this with a battery V, then this battery will pull charge from these two capacitors C1 and C2 and supply it to these right plates of C3 and C4. So let us say that the electrons pulled here caused a charge of plus Q1 and plus Q2 on these two capacitors and supplied these charge here. So the charges on the right side is minus Q3 and minus Q4. Now we know that in a capacitor the plates acquire equal and opposite charges. So here it will be minus Q1, minus Q2, here it will be plus Q3 and here it will be plus Q4. So these charges are accumulated on these plates. Now depending on the circuit we will have two nodes. In a Wheatstone bridge we will have two nodes. Let us say the potential on this node is X and the potential on this node is Y. Let us say the potential on these two nodes is X and Y. Now on the value of X and Y, the charge on C5 will be decided. Now if X is greater than Y, then the upper plate of C5 will have positive charge and the lower plate will have negative charge. And if Y is more than X, then the lower plate will have positive charge and the upper plate will have negative charge. So it depends on the value of X and Y what charge will be there on C5. So for now we can assume that C5, the charge distribution of C5 is like this. The upper plate has plus Q5 and the lower plate has minus Q5. So for now if we assume this, now since Q1 and Q2 are supplied by the battery and this Q1 Q2 are deposited here in the form of Q3 and Q4, so we can write that Q1 plus Q2 equals to Q3 and Q4 because they are essentially the same charges. But since distribution can be different, so we have given the name Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4. So this equation will be true because the battery is taking Q1 and Q2 from here and supplying it in the form of Q3 and Q4 over the right plates of C4, C3 and C4. Now the equivalent capacitance across AB, it can be determined by the total charge divided by the potential. Now the total charge is Q1 and Q2, so we can say that equivalent capacitance will be this. Now on nodes we know that the total charge is always 0 on the node. So by using this concept we can find the values of Q1 and Q2. So this we can leave for now. How if we use the numerical values that we will do in next videos, how to find these values. For now I will leave it as an exercise to you, and later on in the next video in solved examples and in other concept videos we will see how to find the value of equivalent capacitance and the value of Q1 and Q2. So for now just remember, keep in mind this formula, that this is how the equivalent capacitance can be found out in a Wheatstone bridge. Now there is an important point about the Wheatstone bridge, that sometimes there is a special case that happens when the ratio of C1 and C2, these two capacitors, become equal to the ratio of C3 and C4. Sometimes this condition can arrive in the Wheatstone bridge. Now in this condition, potential X and Y become equal. That means that there is no potential difference between x and y. In such condition, when there is no potential difference between x and y, that means there will be no charge flowing on the C5 because there is no potential, so there will be no charge. So in this case, when potential x and y become equal, no charge will be deposited on C5. So that means the C5 becomes non-existent and can be removed because there is no charge deposited on C5. So that means that there will be no potential difference on C5. So the contribution of C5 in this entire circuit becomes zero and it can be removed without affecting any working, without affecting the function of this circuit. Now such condition is called balanced Wheatstone bridge. So always remember that if a Wheatstone bridge is given, that this special condition can occur and you should find out whether this ratio is there. If this ratio is happening, if the ratio of C1 and C2 and C3 and C4 are equal, then in that case there will be no charge deposited on C5 and we can remove C5 from the circuit. Now when we remove C5 from the circuit, then this circuit will look like this. There will be C1, C2, C3 and C4 between the terminals A and B. Now C5 is being removed because it had no contribution. Now in this case, the equivalent capacitance can be found out between CAB. I am writing here in CAB because it is a special case. In CAB, now if we can see in the circuit that C1 and C3 are in series and C2 and C4 are in series, and together both of these branches are in parallel. So we can write that total equivalent capacitance can be written as the series combination of C1 and C3 in series combination plus C2 and C4 also in series combination, and both of them will be added because in parallel combination we simply add the capacitance. So if we put the formula and solve this, then the equivalent capacitance between A and B will be this. So this formula you can use in balanced condition. Always remember, this is not the C equivalent, it is not equivalent capacitance of this circuit, it is the equivalent capacitance when the circuit is balanced by using this condition. So in next circuits, in next videos, we will find out how to analyze, how to calculate equivalent capacitance using the nodal analysis, and then we can find out the values of Q1 and Q2 and other analytic parameters for these circuits.